What is up, everybody? It is Rob here coming at you with the Monday nightly watch list, and I do have my cat attacking me here, so bear with me here. But I'm coming at you with the Monday nightly watch list, and this week is going to be a short week, okay? Right? The markets are going to be closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving, and then on Friday, the markets are actually going to close at 1 p.m. So be aware of that, okay? For all the option contracts, right, that you already have or that you're buying this week, right, it's going to be a short week. So a lot of them are going to get hit with theta decay extremely hard, okay? So just be aware of that, right? The markets are closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving, and Friday they close at 1 p.m., okay? Now the trading action today, right, we are bouncing after that insane sell-off, right? After the NVIDIA earnings, right? And that sell-off, if you watch the last watch list, right, there was no good reason for it, okay? There was a lot of fake headlines going around. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of that, right? But there was no good reason, okay? The earnings came out, and then people started to just profit take on it. And then you had a lot of short sellers come into the market, and people that had bullish bets, right, for the market and the stock to go up after the earnings, right, they started to sell off, right, their holdings because the stock didn't run up. So all those things, right, just mounted into a lot of this selling pressure, right? And then you started to see the VIX go up. People got worried. But today's action, right, is the unwinding of all that. Like I always tell you guys, right, when the VIX goes above 25 and 30 especially, right, you usually see volatility come down. Watch the last watch list. I explained the VIX and volatility and how it always snaps back down and how that sell-off was basically for nothing. So you could have seen this big move already coming up. And, right, the S&P 500 jumped over a 1.5% today, and the Nasdaq closed up over 2%. Now, what I have for you here, right, this was the action after the big sell-off, after the NVIDIA earnings. And one of the reasons why Nasdaq was up over 2% today was because Google closed up over 7% today. Pull up a daily chart on Google, and you'll see that it has been running absolutely crazy. And it's been doing this ever since Berkshire Hathaway released their initial investment, okay? Gave you guys that news right when it came out. And look what's been happening. The stock just keeps going up and up and up and up. And another reason for the move today was because they just released their new AI model, and people are loving it. The market's loving it. Okay, you're getting the run-up with the AI, the Berkshire Hathaway investment news. So that helped, right, continue up the Nasdaq. And then we actually saw, right, Fed speakers are talking about the rate cut in December, right? One of the fake headlines I keep telling you about of the recent sell-off, people are like, oh my God, we might not get our December rate cut. Look at the percentage, chance of the rate cut. It's going down. And all of that was hocus pocus, okay? Now the odds are back up to over 80%, okay? Just a big old VIX pop, fear, people just overreacting. And now you're seeing these big moves today. So that does explain the recent moves. I'm trying to tell you what's going on with all that, okay? So don't be surprised here. I mean, December, right? It's always a very bullish time in the year. We normally get what we call our Christmas rally, and that's because there's a lot of consumer spending for the holiday, right? People buying gifts, people taking vacations, a lot of spending, okay? Which thus is going to increase corporate earnings, and the market always gets excited for that, always front runs it, so you'll see the market go up. People buying into those earnings reports before they come out for good anticipated numbers. So, right? We did just see, a little bit of a VIX pop and freak out, right? But if things keep going well, you're going to see a crazy run coming into the end of the year because the AI story is still intact. NVIDIA's earnings were exceptional. They killed it out of the park, okay? So the AI story is still intact. Might get your Christmas rally, and the market can, continue to keep running up absolutely crazy. So there's that for you. And then I am going to start hitting you here with some of the individual headlines, right, on the day. And the first one, right, one of our long-term holdings, Novo Nordisk, they were down over 11% pre-market, okay? Now, this was because the Ozempic pill failed, right, in this Alzheimer's study. Okay, now they did this because it was a long shot, right? It was like a lottery play. Novo Nordisk was like, hey, let's do this study where let's see if Ozempic, right, can, cure Alzheimer's, okay? Well, it was a long shot. People knew that going into it, okay? And we got news this morning that said that the study was a fail. Ozempic doesn't really show that it cures Alzheimer's and all this. So the market sold off the stock over 11%. And I find this to be an overreaction, right? The market should have already known this was a long shot effort. Really wasn't, anything really the company was dependent on. Okay. And this changes the bag for us in the long-term portfolio because, right, we were looking at different names to add, okay? Like Chipotle, Target, Constellation Brands. And throughout the year, we've been building this position in Novo Nordisk. But days like today where the stock is down over 11% pre-market, well, that just changes my mind. Well, hey, this might be the next long-term candidate. And we're going to get our new deposit here shortly, right? We always get them at the end of the month or, the first day of the new month is when the deposit hits. And, I'm juggling a couple of decisions here what to add to the portfolio. But now we have another one back on the radar, Novo Nordisk. And, I've been seeing some other names out there and I wanted to add to them because we've already been building a substantial position in this during the year. Okay. But it might just be that this is the next one that we add because it has thus came down again and created a new low. And I love the company. I love, the whole Ozempic, Wegovy, everything, right? That mega trend. And like I always tell you guys, I think it's going to be here in 10 years. I actually see, this being, a big thing. People keep buying all the fat shots and all that. So this could just be the next long-term deposit, but we will see, right? We got to wait to get the deposit and we have to see where the market ends up and what opportunities are out there. So that's what I have for you. Big news there. Also, right, we did get a headline today, right? The White House is to pitch a Trump Obamacare extension with limits. So look at all the healthcare names, right? Humana, UNH, CVS, CI, CNC. Look at all those names. Read into that, right? This Obamacare extension with limits, as Trump says, more to be determined on that. So keep your eyes peeled out for that. And then also our friend here, right? Michael Burry, right? The big short investor, right? Recently just closed down his hedge fund, right? To outside capital. He's not going to manage, outside money anymore. But just today he revealed that he's coming out with a Substack, which is basically, a website you can subscribe to. And he's going to be putting out articles and all this and investment ideas, whatever that you can subscribe to. And right now it's $379 a year or $39 monthly. So, Michael Burry has been coming, back with vengeance here. And he's saying, we're in this big AI bubble. Everything's a hoax, right? All of these AI companies, right, they're overvalued because like this depreciation metric that he calls it is overstated in earnings. So you can look into that. But if you're interested, right, he did just create this Substack for $379 a year or $39 monthly. So that's big news in the market. Big name, Michael Burry. Also here, right? Crypto. Ticker symbol is ABTC. Okay, ABTC. Now, I'm telling you guys about this because this is a Eric Trump, crypto involvement, and it's a mining company, okay? And he came out today on Twitter and posted this video of him walking around this huge Bitcoin mining facility and saying how he's involved with the company and he's promoting it. Okay, so this thing could run because, the market knows and market participants know that the Trump family and all these, stuff is heavily involved in crypto. Okay, and, this could be an opportunity for upside move. So keep your eyes out for ABTC and look into that. Also, right, we have a new Martin Shkreli short. He came out and said, hey, guys, look at this ticker symbol CAPR, right? We don't think that this is going to work. It's going to fail in the study. So he came out, new Shkreli short. And I want you guys to know about these because, big movers, right? These healthcare names that have FDA approval and study results. Well, he's saying this one's going to fail. So keep your eyes out on that, right? Not a guarantee, all right? But Martin Shkreli, right? Big guy in the pharma scene, right? Farmer bro. So CAPR, be on the watch for that. And then also I noticed today, right? Randomly, right? All of the cruise lines started to sell off. And one in particular was Carnival Cruise Line, okay? And that's actually one of the names we have in, my long-term portfolio. And they were down over 7%. And then, some of the other cruise lines started to, follow in sympathy. So like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, but Carnival Cruise Lines got absolutely smoked today. And there was no big headlines that actually came out yet, so we don't really know the exact reason. But what we do know is there was a big move down, so a big seller came into the market and then, started selling big, moved the price down, and we also saw volume, which, you normally see. That's the type of action you see on news headlines, right? Then we see a big move up or down, right? Because someone gets the news, they make a big, trade. So you see a big move, and then volume comes in to trade this news. So that's exactly what we got today. But the headline hasn't been released. I can't find it for you, right? I did a lot of deep digging. We always get the fastest news in the world here. Couldn't get you the headline, but I did find some rumors circulating, which were about a United States and Venezuela war, okay, which could affect cruise lines that sail around the area. So to be determined. I don't know what's really moving this, but it was a big, big move on volume. So look up that, stay tuned on that, see what's moving that. All right, if it's all for nothing, right, who knows? All right, we'll see. But keep your eyes peeled out for that. Also, Netflix, kind of the same situation, right? It had a big move up at close, right, with volume. So no headlines on that, but a big buyer came in at the end of the day, moved the market up. So watch for Netflix news. And that's all the news I have for you, right? With individual names, what's moving the market. But I did want to keep people aware of earnings, okay? Because there actually are some earnings, to pay attention to, right? Tomorrow, okay, before the market opens, we actually have Alibaba, okay? They report earnings before the open. You also have Kohl's, Best Buy. Now, Best Buy is a huge one to watch because of the tariff news. They're heavily impacted by tariffs. So keep your eyes out for Best Buy. We also have Dell, right? Watch out for that. After the close on Tuesday, another big name. And then Wednesday before open, we have John Deere. So some of the big names here to watch out for are Alibaba, right? Because if you've been following the markets, or if you don't know, right, China has been a hot trade. Big name to watch, right? Alibaba, okay, Dell, Kohl's, Best Buy, and John Deere. And then I just want to remind everyone again, the markets are closed on Thursday and close at 1 p.m. on Friday. So it is a short trading week. And that's what I got for you guys. All the news, what's moving the market here. And if I don't see you, don't hear from you, if you don't watch the Watchlist again, have a happy Thanksgiving, stay safe, and peace out.